Hello everyone, this is Zibo and welcome to today's video. So sorry for the delay with regards to this guild conquest guide because my first round with my guild didn't progress really far, right? We did okay, I guess, but we didn't reach the final boss, so we wasn't super efficient, and I think it was because like we're still understanding the game mode. So after 1 week of learning about the game mode as well as learning about the different passageways, in today's video I'm going to run through this like guild conquest, which is not new game mode but rather is like an improved version with a lot of new things to take note of. So first of all, I think two major overhaul is that the reward system is now based off this point system, where you'll be able to get points by clearing the stages over here. So there's a capture score and you're given a conquest reward based on like your guild's clearance. So let's say if you hit it, you clear this stage, you get 600 points and so on and so forth. So after you clear this point, you can use it to exchange for the rewards over here. So you can exchange up to, I think, 1,800 to 2,000 gems if I remember correctly. So I'll scroll through the rewards. So for those of you guys who are really keen to find out the exact amount, you guys can calculate it. So I'll scroll through slowly. So the first two is 500, right? 20, 20, 20, 20. Okay. So that's for the gem side. There's also some coffee, some hammer, some gold, and some EXP, and also a bit of medals. So that's one thing for you guys to take note of. Basically, they shifted the rewards from the stage itself to the points rewards. So yeah, this will encourage people to actually play the game mode to actually try to get as much points as possible. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the point system. Hopefully you guys got the amount of gems down as well as the other key resources which you are interested in. And other than that, they also introduced a ranking system in terms of like the guild members points ranking, as well as the general ranking for all the different guilds. So over here, this is my guild ranking, as you guys can see. So yeah, this is to introduce some competitive element to it, and you can actually check the round 1 rankings as well. So over here, so basically it has a lot more records and it has a little bit more competitive value because now you can compete with other guilds as well as your other guild mates in terms of the points. But I don't think you should actually compete with your guild mates in terms of the points, and I'll explain why. So why is it that you shouldn't really compete with your guildmate? Because right here, right, there's actually quite a few like tiles, right? As you guys can see, it's like about tiles and stuff. So this is your usual battle tiles where you battle the bosses of different elements and you can get points of it, right? So it's 300 points, I mean 30 points for this one. And there's also the power up tiles as well as special ability tiles. So I'm just going to go through like one by one and talk about what they do, and I'll leave the figuring out to people who are extremely keen to focus on this game mode to see what to expect, right? So first of all, round 1 for this time round, the layout for round 1 and round 2 is the same. So this I'll call it stage 1. For stage 1 itself, right, I think the power up towers are your communication center number 1, which reduces the level of all bases within step 1 itself. So this will give you 120 points. And the next important one is obviously the cannon, because the cannon reduces the HP of the boss by 35%, granting you 120 points. And also the other major important one is actually this one, right? This buff itself, armory 1, because this provides your whole guild with a 10% attack buff as well as a 20% defense buff for step 1. So these three, in my opinion, they are the most important towers. There's also the range attack buff in armory 2 over here, and there's also the this armory 3 over here which buffs melee attack. So I am not like, I'll say that it's not like a confirm must get bases, I guess. Depends on your guild, because if your guild is a range heavy guild, then this one is better. If your guild is a melee heavy guild, then this one is better, right? So in this case, the tile selection really depends on your guild, but this is basically the general tile. So I'll recommend you to take the supply truck for the 600 points and then try to extend your way to the cannon to deal damage. And you can actually skip the supply truck if you want to do it later, right? It gives you a lot of points, by the way, the supply truck. So you might want to do it, but it's not a rush because you might want to see like how far your guild can go in the first round before deciding how fast you want to take this truck. So that's a general guide. And there's two like I'll say like a special building, which I think it's not that crucial, especially for step 1, and they are your large button as well as your command center. So the command center removes the special rule of the fire as well as water hero being banned at the boss base itself. So what this means is that you can use your water and your like fire teams over here. But if you guys realize over here right now, it only took like 2 of my members to finish the boss. So you don't really need to like take this base, and you can save on like quite a few steps, right? This is 3 attempts, and then you are like saving steps for these 8 million bosses as well. So these bosses, the higher HP the boss offer, the more points they give as well. So I don't think I want to explain too much of the tiles, right? It's your regular raid style of tile, and they just give you more points based on the HP of the boss itself. So just plan around that and just plan how your guild want to tackle it based on the elements. I think that's the best way to do it. And yeah, so for the first round, right, like I mentioned, the recommended path will be to go straight, take the cannon, and then, you know, if you want to take the supply truck, you can take it. If your guild doesn't rely on range team, you can completely skip the bottom path, which we took, right? I think we were a bit inefficient, but we can completely skip this round. So you can save up on quite a few steps, like at least 1, 2, like, you know, if let's say it takes like 1 attempt to do it, you know, you can save up like 1, 2, 3, then this one is 3 attempts. So this camps, right, they reduce the defense of the bosses. So taking this will allow your boss fight at the control tower become easier, but it's not super important on step 1 if your guild is strong enough. So that's something which I would like to mention. And yeah, so basically you can save on a few attempts, and then you will clear stage 1 as fast as possible. So what's the purpose of this large button over here? Basically, it's additional points thing. And for the large button, right, you're able to, give me a moment. So over here, the large button, we haven't really took the large button before, but over here, right, the large button will unlock a powerful hidden boss when all existing large buttons on the field are conquered. So what this means is that you can choose to tackle all the large button for the hidden boss to conquer, but like I mentioned, I didn't really clear this stage, so I couldn't reach this large button, and I don't know what will happen once you unlock all the large buttons, right? So that's one thing which I am not too sure. So that's one thing which I don't recommend you take if your guild is not super strong. But if your guild is super strong, then I think you can definitely try to take it for additional points, as well as see what the like additional bosses have to offer. So that's for step number 1. And moving forward to step number 2, so this is the layout. The blue flags indicates the path that we are gonna take. So as usual, I'm gonna talk about the key buildings for this step. So the first key building is obviously, as usual, your communication center 1, which reduces the levels of all monsters within the step itself. So reducing levels reduces the defense as well as the HP of the monsters within the camps. And the next important one, command center on step 2, is super important because of 2 things, right? It reduces the range attack immunity on the 3 nodes that are the closest to the boss stage. So this node over here, this node over here, and this node over here. So this is super important because I believe for the second step, right, it's Alverarium, and the strongest team against this setup is obviously your light range team. So you're gonna have a lot of range teams to clear this stage, and yeah, you're gonna need to remove the range immunity. So command center for this stage is pretty important, and it offers quite a bit of points, right? 1200 points. So do get it if your guild is like there's at least a few range teams, because it's super important. And other than that, right, obviously the cannon, which reduces the boss HP by 25%. And also the one more important thing for this one will definitely be this one over here, 50% light attack. So like I mentioned earlier, right, there's armories which boost the attack for the whole guild. So there's armory 3, armory 1 over here, and armory 2. So as you guys can see, armory 1 boosts the attack of water teams by 30%, as well as the attack of basic teams by 30%. And for armory 2, it boosts the fire attack by 40% and dark attack by 40%. So the last one is a boost to earth attack as well as light attack by 50%. So in terms of the sheer value, armory 3 offers the most boost, and it offers the boost to the key element, which is light attack, because the boss for this stage is dark element. So this armory 3 is probably the most important one. to give your whole guild most damage. But like I mentioned earlier, it really depends on your guild, right? If your guild doesn't have a lot of earth or light teams, then taking the armory 1 or armory 2 could be a lot better, because yeah, if your team, your whole guild is like dark, water and fire centric, then these two camps will definitely give greater effect for everybody in the guild itself. So that's for the boost building. Obviously there's your usual camps. I'm not gonna talk too much about it, right? It's just camps. You clear 3 attempts, you reduce the defense of the boss, making the whole thing easier. And then we have 2 large buttons, so you hit it, you get like 1200 points and get a hidden boss after you hit all the large buttons within the conquest itself. So that's for this stage. So the recommended path will probably be this one, and then you can extend to the bottom to secure this camp over here for your 50% light attack in order to have an easier time against the final boss itself. So that is for step 2. So if you do want a bit of points, you can actually extend downwards to go for this truck, because like I mentioned, trucks offers a lot of points, and in step 2 the supply truck offers you 6,000 points. So that's for the point system. If you're into just the points, then I think going for the supply truck is fine. But for my style, I usually don't go for the supply truck first. I'll leave it to the end of the cycle to see whether or not I can actually hit the final bosses. If I can't, then I'll re-divert the guildmates back into capturing the supply trucks. So that's for the step 2 itself. Okay, so moving forward to step 3, I think the communication center as well as the command center, they are crucial. So this communication center reduces all the monster level by 2. So less HP, less defense equal easier monsters to fight. And we also have the command center, which reduces or removes the rule for the monster enlargement for these 2 nodes over here. So why is this especially important? As you guys can see, these 2 nodes actually blocks out the path to the final boss. So you have to cross either of these nodes no matter what. And enlargement on a boss with 300 million HP is pretty scary. So yeah, this one is probably super important as well. And there's also a new base or new type of feature, which is the missile launcher. So the missile launcher effectively reduces the efficiency of the Alverbarium boss skill, right? So we have 4 missile launcher. We have the reduction to the eject drone skill. We have reduction to the container missile skill, and we have the reduction to laser and bombardment skill, and lastly we have the reduction to the explosion rush skill. So I haven't hit the boss before, right, at least for this round, so I'm not too sure how big of efficiency will these missile launchers offer, but I'm pretty sure this boss is like a pretty hard hitting one. So yeah, any attempts to reduce her attack damage output or her skill efficiency is probably a good take. So you probably need to take all these missile launchers no matter what. So the command center, the communication center, as well as the missile launchers itself. So with regards to the armory, right, there's a 45% melee buff for armory 1, there's a 45% range buff for armory 3, and there's a 30% buff to both melee and range for armory 2. So in terms of like the easiest to get and the most value will probably be armory 2, because it offers buffs to the both side, and this camp is in the way of getting to the boss. So you don't really have to take the bottom path if you want to skip the communication center as well as the bottom armory, and you don't really have to spend a few more tiles to get to this armory 1, right? Because this one is definitely compulsory, but you don't have to go up to this, so you can save a few steps there. And yeah, as usual, there's your supply truck. So this level, the supply truck offers 8,000 points, and same thing for this one, 8,000 points. And also for the monsters itself, right, they're starting in the hundreds of millions, so they're offering like quite a lot of points as well. And yeah, there's also 2 large buttons, so large button number 1 as well as huge button number 1. So I haven't really unlocked it, I don't know what it offers, right? Based on the description over here, the large button unlocks the powerful hidden boss, and the huge button allows for additional capture score when conquered. So yeah, probably this is probably for the end game, right? For those guilds who are able to finish up everything till this point, you can probably attempt to capture this huge button for more points in order to get a better ranking for your guild itself. So that's pretty much it, right? Alverbarium, I didn't find it before. If you guys are keen to find out more about her, you guys can search up on some of the Korean YouTubers. I think they actually hit the boss already. So yeah, she's a really tough boss, like how she did in season 1. So no doubt about that. And yeah, I guess that's pretty much it for this guide itself. I think it's a very simplified rundown guide because this season itself, I think you can actually just make the best decision based on how your guild functions, based on what the teams your guild have. So I think my way is probably not the only way to play this game mode. You can actually play it out with your guild mates to see how you want to tackle it, because different guilds have different team setups, different power levels, and like you might want to focus on different goals. So you can focus on getting the most points possible in order to get better rewards, or you can actually, you know, go for the big rewards in order to compete for the highest ranking in terms of the guild ranking itself. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this guy, I guess. Thank you very much everybody for tuning in. Do remember to like and subscribe in order to see more videos from the channel. I'll see you guys again in my next video. Bye guys.